Hi everyone, welcome back to another astrological video. This video is actually the new year. Happy astrological new year, everyone. Yay, yay, we made it. So how was the first, not 3 months, but 2 months, 20 days of the year? How was that? How was that? How was whacked? How was that, y'all? How was that? How was the first 2 months and 20 days of the year? What did you learn? What was useful? What did you kind of see like play out consecutively, continuously? Like, what did you see? What did you peep? What did you accomplish? How did you prioritize yourself, your needs? How did you prioritize your desires? How have you prioritized your energy? And have you been going with that schedule, or have you been using a different schedule? What schedule works for you? What has really worked for you? And that's really what I want us to think about. What has worked for us so far throughout the year of 2023. Okay, you all. Please remember to thumbs up this video, send and share this video out. People who make you feel good. People who allow you to continue growing and blossoming to the person that you are destined to be. Please send and share with those groups, organizations, and people who allow you to continue growing and blossoming, but who you allow them to continue growing and blossoming into the individual, to the person that they are destined to be. Okay, you all. If you would like to send a love offering, the Amazon link is in the Linktree link in the description box below. But the Cash App link is in the description box below, okay, you all? I love you all, and I appreciate you all so much. Okie dokies, okie dokies, okie dokies. If you would like to come on over to the Playful platform of Patreon, the Playful platform of Patreon, to the Playful platform of Patreon. The link to Patreon is in the Linktree link in the description box below, but it is also in the description box below, okay? Excellent. Okay, remember to do year 3 deep cleansing breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. To be open, to be ready, and to be aware for this yearly message. Please remember to watch the weekly episode for this week. Also watch the full, maybe we need to watch that full moon video, because I keep saying that. The full moon video, the recent full moon video, the last full moon video. Let's watch that, okay? But also this will also be very helpful. The new moon. I think it's the new moon in Aries. Oh yeah. The new year reading and the new moon in Aries. What a wonderful time to be, right? Wonderful time to be. So since we know that this is, or since we're stepping into this is a wonderful time to be, how can we step into the wonderfulness? How can we step into the path? How can we step into this new process? What does that look like for you? What does that even mean, okay? I want you to be thinking about that, because we're going to talk more about that in that new moon in Aries reading. All right, y'all, so hold time. This is the new year reading, and we're going to look at the Ascendant. And girl, why do we look at the Ascendant? Why do we look at the Ascendant? What did you say? I can't quite hear you. You should say something along the lines of like, these are the prescriptions, these are the glasses we're looking through whole time, so our eyesight and the glasses can be aligned. We got to be on the same page, right? Right. So the prescription that we're looking through, the eyeglass that we're looking through, the looking glass, Alice in Wonderland that we're looking through is, what is this, girl? I cannot see it. Oh, here it goes. Virgo, 23 degrees. So all the Virgos stand up. All the Virgos stand up. All the Virgos in the room stand up. And I'm talking about North Nodes too. I'm talking about ascendants. I'm talking about moons. I'm talking about suns, baby. I'm talking about Black Moon, Lilith. Okay, I'm talking about Mars. But really, I'm talking about that North Node as well. Stand up. Rise up. Stand to the top. All right. So first things first, the first thing that I look at, or the first thing I think about in my brain, is holistic living. Looking at the system through the eyes of the I want to say the individual, but I really was about to say the employee. 23? Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's really funny. You might hear a lot of people want to do like more check-ins, more like employee satisfaction. How satisfied are you here? Like more, they want to be more connected, more in communication. Because if your employees are satisfied, you know you're doing a good job, right? You know what you need to work on or not work on, right? Right. But if we don't check in, it's kind of like the eraser, erasing the workers, erasing. It's like the foundations. It's erasing a whole lot of work. So that's something we should be mindful of. We're starting a business and we're incorporating people. This is a really good time to think about how one can improve or not improve, implement employee satisfaction conversations. What is this, 23? Yeah, it's you can send emails about this, maybe check-ins about this. Aquarius, I'm thinking quarterly, to be honest. Yeah. Also, if you're a college, anything, if you are over some people, this is just a really good time, a really good year to do like constant, not constant, but more so more frequent, maybe habitual, periodically, whatever you see that is. So if habitual for you is you'll usually check in with people like what, once a month, maybe you should think about doing it every 3 weeks and be consistent. You feel me? Be mindful of what you're sharing. But also, if you use that moment of checking in, habitual checking in, that allows the relationship to grow and for both parties to be on the same page, same understanding, same movements. Okay, alrighties. So let's keep going. I kind of also want to talk about water and salt intake, but we'll talk about that more later. I need us to also be mindful about our water intake, and then also about our water, what is it called when it doesn't water, like keeping water and holding water in your body. I want us to be very mindful about that. Ankle swelling, I need us to be very mindful about that. If we want to think about what should we get into this year, walking on trails, safely walking on trails, maybe walking in a group with people, that'd be a really good thing to pick up. Trail walking, or maybe walking in an environment that's very spacious, that's very natural. So you know that if we think about it seasonally, springtime, you can be outside, right? But you need to dress for the weather. Summertime, you can be probably more in different areas. So that's your time of like trial and error. What do you want to do? What do you want to see? Fall time, that'd be more so your trail hiking. And then winter time, that'd be more so in like an enclosed environment. So this is a really good time for you to start thinking about what that looks like long term and short term, okay? Medium term too, okay? Because medium term allows us to review the short term and the long term, or at least the short term. Let's see what we need to tweak. You feel me? I need to add something. This added up here, but I still need something else right in here. What can I take to do this? You feel me? It's more so killing a bird. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. There we go. And I want us to think through situations. I want us to think about the situation, the whole situation, the impact of the situation, the build up of the situation, the compartments of the situation, okay? And I also want us to think about also implementing like fun and like realism, fun and work. Be mindful of our health, be mindful of our habits, be mindful of what we're gaining. So I want us to do check-ins with ourselves every 90 days, because isn't it like every 28 days or something to break a habit? Okay. I want us to just be mindful about the habits that we're engaging in, the habits that we're breaking. That can also be kind of silently generational curses that one is going through, breaking. And that right there, that's a whole lot of patience and devotion and honorings. But that's a whole lot of accountability. That's a very big mature step that one takes, and one chooses to continuously be on this path of like continued growth and development of self for the understanding of future generations, the impact of oneself. You feel me? That's very righteous. I like that because it's like, you know, it's taking accountability for what one needs to do within the team. And that is a very team player. That is a very mature and elevated way of thinking, truly. So I want to applause because I'm looking at it as a whole. So what we can be. So if we're thinking about it right now and we're saying, you know, this is something we want to do, I'm applauding us because I'm applauding us. I'm giving us clap, clap, claps, praises, because truly at the end of this, it allows us to grow into a better understanding, a better team player. Come on, Virgo. Well, we have to, you know, understand the balance of situations, understand the compartments of situations, understand the whole and then the micro parts of a situation, okay? So we're going to keep going because I really don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's still 11 minutes right now. So also what I thought about when I was doing the reading, I was just like, when I was just saying all this stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I can talk about that, but yeah, I kind of just forgot. Oh yeah. What is common sense? What is common sense? And I'm truly saying this because I feel as if we need to start thinking about common sense and the constant evolution of common sense. So whatever their parents gave you, we're using that as a foundation. So they say, you know, we're gonna push you off into these classes, as these etiquette classes, and they're gonna teach you how to which forks go with what, how to eat, how, you know, you're not gonna cut your knife like this. It's teaching us the basic, I guess, social norms. So with this experience, of course, exposure, of course, experience and exposure can really allow people to have different perspectives of the world, of society, of their own identity. It allows them to be brought into to many layers of the world, and many layers of perspectives, understandings, cultures, backgrounds, history. Allows one to be more compassionate. But let's keep going. I'm reading too much into it. I also want us to be very mindful about what our moral compass is. I'm saying all this because what did I say? Common sense and moral compass, that is something that we originally got, received, observed, and taken in, you know, picked up as a habit. There we go. That's something we got ingrained, observed, picked up through childhood, our childhood experiences. So our childhood experiences really impact us throughout our entire life. And it's up to us to pay attention to that, to be mindful about that, so we can use the resources, the experiences, the trials and tribulations, the good times, the understandings. It allows us to know what we like and what we do not like, you know, categorize situations, to see the importance of situation. But it also allows us to use resources that we previously didn't know as resources. I'm also kind of silently thinking, because it's 23 degrees. I want us to be very mindful about like holding in anger within our body. I need us to find an outlet for releasing anger. Maybe daily. Let me think about this. 23. Okay, weekly. What does that look like? Something that we can engage in, an activity that we can engage in that release anger safely. Let it be 2 activities, one mental and one body, one physically. And then afterwards, we should probably stretch our full body, like stretch our entire body. Yeah, it's even like warm up, and like, what's the after the warm up when you finish the outro? up. Girl, after you finish working out, and it's just like to cool your muscles off, letting them know, like, hey, bro, check it out. I'm finna go home. I'm not ready for the workout anymore. That, whatever that's called, I want us to incorporate a warm up and a post warm up after we finish working out. Think about that. I am just so sorry. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent, but I need us to be very mindful about the perspective we're looking for, because if we can be not so direct, but if we can be more understanding of the many situations or many layers that this can impact us, we'd be, open enough to pick up these situations, because I kind of silently think there is a moon Neptune here. But give me, it's a moon conjunct. Is this a moon conjunct? Yes, moon conjunct Neptune. I love moon conjunct Neptunes. I love moon Neptunes in general, okay? Moon Neptunes be them symbolisms. Be like, I just thought about that. And then when it's an opposition, be like, that's really not it. No, I just had that conversation. So don't really know me like that. And that's really not it. And then moon conjuncts be like, girl, why does song just keep playing 12 times? I promise you I keep playing skip. Let me listen to it the next time it plays. And that's really it. And I love it. I love moon Neptunes. Moon Neptunes is just, we have to trust and believe and be practical in our sense. We have to be slowed mindset, slowed environment, so we can pick up on the conversations, right? Right. But it also allows us to have like discernment activators. We need to be very open to be calm, cool, and collected internally, externally, within our mind, within our hearts, to pick up the conversations, to pick up the confirmations. So something I really need us to be very mindful of is airwaves, planes, tall towers, air travel, maybe thoughts as well. Be mindful about our thoughts. Be mindful about the sensitivity of the mind, the sensitivity of the senses, like the external senses, sensitivity of the hands, sensitivity of the digestive system. Yeah, sensitivity of the hair. Sensitivity of the body. We need to just be very mindful about that. Be very mindful about where the sensitivity is coming from. Yeah. Okay. 17 minutes, you all. We're still on 23. I'm kind of thinking about how to say this. Virgo 23. When groups merge and when there's a merging of groups, there could be a language barrier. So with that, we know that information can be lost. We also know that things won't align, like words they're not always aligned, because the different perspectives, the different dialects, the different definitions and how they're used. But I need us to be very mindful about the erasure of history or ethics of identities, but also pick up those stories. Where do you think that comes from? I want us to start asking those questions, be more critical in this. Like, this seems like something else. Maybe we should start thinking deeper about situations, or more so focusing on situations, to be able to understand the correlations. I want to say the interlooping identities. So there might be some erasures of history, of oral history. That's why a lot of people started writing situations down, because the dialects change. People are forgetting. People stop talking that way. Wow, it could be more than just erasure of history, ethics, identities. That could be also languages, people, groups. Oh my goodness, this is like the erase of history. And because of the history that's been erased, who's now writing it? This now makes us wonder about the integration and segregation. Makes me think about that, the integration and segregation of people, of societies, of oh my goodness, philosophies. Okay, you all understand the word I'm trying to say. Of religions. What is this, 6? Yeah. When that happens, it's like multi-ethnic, multicultural, but kind of like recipes getting lost. Syncretism. When stories are erased, who rewrites the story? I need us to be very mindful, and then we're going to move off past the ascendant, about our ability to determine others, judge others, our judgment on others. I want us to be very mindful about it. Be very mindful about that. Be very open and observant. Ask questions. Be mindful about who we are engaging with, who we are connecting with. Be very mindful about who we are sharing. Who we are sharing. I don't want to say the good sense, but like the information about the growth. Who are we sharing that information with? I need us to be very mindful about that. Yeah, because when I said that, it makes my throat dry. So be very mindful about the tone, the voice, what you say. Be very mindful of how much you say. Be very mindful of what they say, their reactions. I want us to use our anger and our fire energy to transmute and transform to more so in a regenerative process. That's why I said we need to think about 2 processes or 2 habits or 2 hobbies that we want to pick up this year. Be very mindful about communication going on in the environment. It just seemed like a bolt of like white light just came. It was really funny, but that can also be stars. What is that? Shooting stars. I need us to go outside and to look up at the sky. And what do you see? I want us to be very mindful about what's happening in the sky astrologically this year. You know, be very mindful about what's happening in the sky, but also in your community, what's going on in the news, what's going on in your environment, your state, your city. Be very mindful about what's going on in your community. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. I'm also kind of thinking about mineral values. So this year we need to be very mindful about soil health, minerals and soil health, mineral values. So that could be what is it called? It's not nothing. Valuable stones, jewels, like what is it called? Not rubies, but what are they? Crystals and precious jewels, crystals, silvers. I need us to be very mindful about that. 10. I'm thinking about 10 as well. Okay. So yeah, semi-precious jewels, crystals, medication. I need to be very mindful about that. What kind of medication? I'm thinking about Mercury. The ruler is Mercury, and Mercury is in Aries, so that might be headache medication. That might be Mercury conjunct Sun in 3rd. That might be asthma pump, albuterol. That might be 3. Like mental health medication. We need to be very mindful about that. Yeah. Okay. So I like that. We did a whole lot of talking about the 22nd degree. The ascendant 23 degree. So before we get started, I really just want to tell you all that I really think this message is going to be a Jack of Diamonds, a 7s, a 4 clubs, or with the 8 of spades in here. And I really think about that because it was a whole lot of like value on soil, value on like forestry, value on trees, value on like nature, value on our engagement with nature, our resources, our natural resources. So yes. All right, you all. So we're going to look at the chart ruler. We're going to look at the sun And we're going to just look at a couple other things in the chart and just talk about it and just keep going, okay? Alrighty, so we're going to look at the chart ruler. Let me get us a little pen. Pencil is no. Okay, so Mercury has a little star next to it. Perfect, right there. You see, so it goes Aries, but I think it's Pisces right here. Yeah, Pisces right here. Okay, cool. So it is Neptune conjunct Sun, conjunct conjunct Mercury, conjunct Chiron. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. First things first, let's talk about what is this, 7th house? So Mercury's in the 7th house. I need us to be very mindful about the slight people pleasing and the slight be very mindful about what we're saying to people, what we're communicating to people. Be very mindful about other people's motives, reactions. Be very mindful of what we say and how we say things. How can we grow control over ourselves and our needs? What do we learn about the people that we engage with? What do we learn about our relationship to people, their perspectives? What do we learn from that? We learned about our own internal strength. We learned about, we went through so many experiences that allowed us to see different perspectives of the world. What's the 7th house in? You all, what's this ascendant? 23, so 23 degree Pisces. In my head, I want to say, just as I thought. But yeah, 23 degree Pisces. What is that? Pisces, Aquarius? Pisces, Aquarius. I like that. Wow, what did you learn from the other group? Oof. We can use this as a benefit. Oh my goodness. We learned a whole lot. Okay, use other people's experiences, use other people's like conversations, the awarenesses, their experiences. Use them to your benefit so we do not have to go through these experiences. So we don't have to go through these lessons. Use them, take the information in so we can be very mindful about the people that we're talking to, the people that we're relating to, the people that we're connecting to. Also, we're looking at this from the opposite standpoint. Be very mindful about quickly engaging and getting into relationships. I want us to think about situations before we engage. Are situations receptive? Our situation, are we on the same path? Are we on the same awareness? Are we on the same awareness? What does devotion to yourself look like? What does devotion to the people who honor you look like? How can we work on personal boundaries this year? How can we use other people's experiences to our personal experience? This year is based off really setting our own value of life, identity, and the approaches to life. Setting our own values, setting our own habits. This is really looking like the second independence. And with the second independence, we get a little, we think that we can use the same experiences that, the first experience was. The first experience, you feel me? You got your keys. Babe, we been got our keys. We out here driving now. That's different. But it's still the same. We got to be very mindful of how we engaging because we have to look at things from a mature standpoint. As an older person standpoint, if you have kids from a parent standpoint, because who is this all going to impact? Who are your choices all going to impact? But let's keep going, you all. So, yeah. What does it say? 25-degree. Listen to what really people are saying. Actions and behavior, do they match? Actions and words, do they match? Here we go. Actions, words, behaviors. Yeah, I think that's actions and behaviors are the same thing. Do actions and words match? Do your actions and words match? What do you want to do long term? This is a really good time, excuse me, if we want to work on growing our own relationship to ourselves, work on having better relationships, better independence. This is a really good time to think about that and write that down. What do we want in a long-term relationship? What do we want in a relationship? What is fulfilling to us in a relationship? What do we need currently in the mature version and the continuous growth? What do we want right now as a continuously growing individual? What do we want in a relationship? What they look like. You feel me? We can write this down. There's Mercury here too. Chiron is 14th degree. Give me a second. Aries. Wounds of... Oh, yeah. And make sure you put on something about, them being vocally validating about who you are. They see you. They understand you. They appreciate you. They uplift you. Write things like that, and that they're receptive of you, and the relationships is reciprocal. Oh, my goodness, y'all. Look, it's a lot going on. But also make sure that you write that you're doing the same thing for them. That it's a team player relationship, that it's understanding, that you all talk things through. Shit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, most definitely. Right now, also, let me see, where Venus at? Because, girl, we finna get into a relationship reading. Where's Venus at? Let me calm down. Yeah, most definitely. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, girl, yes. Most definitely. We can eat this. If you're in a relationship right now, let's do it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Give me a second. Yeah. If you're in a relationship right now, this would be a really good time. If you ask yourself, what do you want out of this relationship long term, and what are you going to put in the relationship to change the behavior long term? Because right now we've been like thinking of, just moving without thinking about our other partner, thinking about their feelings, thinking about their wants, thinking about their needs, thinking about what they needs to be validated and secured long term. And it's more so a time of talking about what you need in a relationship long term to allow you to continue feeling free and find your truth and desire in the world. And if we have those conversations early on, it can allow both parties to be open and to be seen and to be heard. To be open, to be seen, and to be heard. Also, be very mindful of how we're vocalizing situations and the word choice that we're saying when we're having these deep conversations. We might start off being very open and being very energetic, and then we might be a little stern and be a little hard about the situation. But if we think about our word choice and how we react, and think about situations before we just move, before we engage, it can really assist us. If we be more compassionate, just be more understanding and more engaging with our own emotions and how we our own inner needs and feelings, and about the other person's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it can allow the relationship to continue growing and blossoming for each individual's need. So yeah, I also finally want to talk about this. Yeah, we can talk about it. Okay, what is this? We're gonna talk about Moon, then we're gonna talk about Aries, and we're gonna talk about Black Moon Lilith, because I've been having these thoughts, and I was just like, yeah, we can just like be mindful about that, because we were just saying how we need to feel our emotions this year. We be very mindful about feeling our emotions, using our emotions, observing our emotions, or observing the systematic movements, Who determines the value? That's what we're going to name this video. Observing systematic movements. Who determines the value? And the answer is you. You determine the value. We have to grow our own and be aware of our own need of self-governance and importance of self-governance and definitions of self-governance. And this is a wonderful year to understand that and to grow that. Because we're, maturing, evolving individuals, right? What does it look like to mature and evolve? What does it look like in your lineage to mature and evolve? You feel me? My people came up here from the South. We matured and we evolved. We now do things differently, but we still keep the same traits, the same characteristics, the same histories. But we now molded for what best serves us right now. You feel me? But we're not going to forget. And if we do forget, I pray that, we remember. So whose value is it? We need to be very mindful about that so we don't be swayed by other people's values to determine our own systems. How are you going to determine our systems? All right, but let's keep talking because that's all I want us to be very mindful of. The moon, this is before the full moon, before the new moon, yeah. The moon not quite here yet. Okay, cool. So what is this? Reacting before thinking. Ooh, yeah. Reacting before thinking. What's this, 19? 7, yeah, Libra. Okay, what is this? 6, validate known systems. Be mindful. Oh, okay, what brings balance to system? Give me a second. Relationships, when they're not reciprocal, when they're not receptive, when they're not understanding, when they're not, emotionally connecting, it can impact our viewpoints about ourselves, our engagements, our habits. When our emotions are not, when our needs are not met, when we're, that can impact us, our health, our habits, our engagements, our movements. And we need to be very mindful about that this year. But we need to be very mindful about that this year and beyond, baby. Come back next lifetime. Remember this lifetime. Keep going. You feel me? We need to be mindful about that. We need to understand that we need to take mental breaks. Consecutive mental breaks. Practical mental breaks. Daily mental breaks. What does that look like? What do you need as a mental break? For me, homegirl, I'm finna put on some cartoons. Moon Neptune. Where's Moon Neptune here? Conjunct. What's that? Let me tell you exactly how we can do this. Oh, well, in my head I said people watch, but 7. Oh, listen to music. What's that? 7. Touch. Draw, create. What makes you feel in balance? Oh, take a shower or lay in bed. What brings you like calm, cool, and collective in your body? What makes you feel calm, cool, and collective in your body, in your mind, in your room? What makes you feel like that? How can your bedroom, how can your room, how can that environment, your boudoir, how can that regenerate, re-uplift you? What can you do to uplift yourself? I'm seeing stretching. We should stretch. Stretch our that back, lower legs. This we need to stretch that out. Yeah. It's like child pose. It's if we think about constantly stretching ourselves out, our body, our back, our leg. Oh yeah, we think about incorporating those stretches that would really assist our body. We need to think about our fluids this year, our intake this year. We need to incorporate more water this year. Oh, yeah. wash our hands more this year, especially when we're engaging with other people. Touching things a lot, yes, 100%. Okay, I also need us to be very mindful about fermentation process. That could be grain, that could be seeds. Grain and seeds, that could be literally like, physically grain and seeds, the earthly process, but that could be embryo, the stages, the connections. I don't really know what it's called, you all, because it's a whole lot of things going on in my mind right now, and I'm reading this chart. So when you mix the eggs at the doctor's office, we need to be just observe that process. It might be now coming out, something's going on with the grain and seeds, but also it could be like more growth and development in that department of combining fertilizing eggs. I like that. This year I want us to be very mindful about being a little selfish and rigid about our viewpoints. I also need us to be very mindful about women and their identity in regards to suffering through one-sided ideals and ideas, and that could also be, give me one second, laws. That can also be inheritances on laws, so situations that just kept going. Yeah. The eyesight, the viewpoint is on women and the identity of suffering through one-sided ideals. That's the erasure of women's viewpoints. But let's keep talking. We're talking about the moon right now. The moon was in the 6th house. That means we need to be very mindful about our intake of foods, consumption of foods. What's this, Pisces? Sweets. We should think about more so incorporating, I want to say like leafy greens, colorful meals. Up and take our water. 19. Yeah, up and take our water and our fruits and vegetables. We need to stretch. It's like a retention or something in the body with water. I need us to get on a workout routine, a stretching routine. Let me see how long we can, if we get like 25 minutes of stretching, 25, 30 minutes of stretching, that'd be a really good way to start off. That could be like a evening routine right before going to bed. Be very mindful of eating and going to bed. Be very mindful about the dreams. This would be a really good time to start a dream journal. You all, we're just on the astrology and it's been 43 minutes. I'm so tickled. I am so sorry, you all. So we're gonna keep on going. So from that aspect, let's talk about Aries. Aries, as we know in the story, I'm just gonna really tell you the summary of it. I need us to be very mindful about our engagement when situations don't go the way that we're thinking. Okay? Because it's think before we react. Because if we think before we react, we can 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel left out of group because of different values. Oh, we might feel left out of group because of different values. Don't let that upset you. Just see that people have different values. We also might feel that people don't acknowledge our development. Maybe some of our friends don't acknowledge our continuous development or different values. And just be very mindful about that. We can outgrow people. When you outgrow people, you can love them afar. What does it mean to love them afar, though? What does that look like for you? I'm just silently gonna think about this. It's gonna be a whole lot of since we're talking about stories at the beginning, and story erasure. There might be a more mythological and archetypal stories being presented, being talked about more and that's like remembering, but also talking about and bringing out history again, but through an easier way of understanding. You all wrote a whole bunch of notes. So the artists I want us to be very mindful of this year is Flo Milli and Solange. I want us to also be very mindful of the implied thoughts. So what people are saying to us, that could be like planting seeds of doubt, and the doubt can really, where's that Mercury at? Yeah, the planting, other people planting seeds of doubt. Sun can be very mindful about other people's values, and what they say. Be very mindful about your own values and what it looks like to validate your own self, even when people don't have the same values as you. How can you continuously uplift yourself and to find your own and summon your own inner strength? And what does that look like? What does it look like to pray, to connect to the, a deeper, high devotion to yourself? I mean, we had to continuously learn to be devoted to self. It was a habit that one had to detach from to be able to be in tune with. And that is a continuous lesson, a continuous practice of self-governance, of self-understanding. So I need us to also be very mindful about our eyesight sensitivity. And that could be like a strain of the eyes. But really, to be honest, let's be very mindful about jealousy and spitefulness this year. Jealousy and spitefulness this year. Jealousy and spitefulness this year within friends, within families, within relationships, within groups. That could just be within cultures. That could just be, something that's we need to just be very mindful about. And I think that is it. All right, you all. The rest of the notes are on Patreon. Let's get this reading going. It's 46 minutes in. The card that I see is a 9 of diamonds. Let's talk about them diamonds, baby, and the Joker. This is our start. This is our start. What does it mean to start something? To be open to the first approach, the many approaches. What does it mean to initiate something, to step into it? That means we got to have some gumption, right? We got to have some trust and some spirit about it. We got to have, a backbone, right? Right. We might be a little anxious about, starting it. But what if we started and we do good? What if that happens? What if we have different mindsets in it? Yeah, maybe not different, but more so, what is it called? Not expansive, but an optimistic. What does an optimistic mindset look like? And I'm not saying optimistic where you don't see failures in situations. You don't see that you finna walk into a wall. You feel me? No. Realistic, optimistic viewpoints. What does that look like? That means having a grounded sense and understanding. That might look like, conversating with people who really you feel is trust. Conversation with people who you really feel is trustworthy, is understanding. Maybe a person that's older than you. I'm trying to see where Saturn is right now, to be honest. Pisces. Grandparent? Okay. Where's... Yep, grandparent, most definitely. Can be your grandfather. Maybe somebody who went to the war, or who was a veteran. Or maybe someone, 27, who spoke fast, or maybe who spoke deeply. Maybe someone who's tall and slender who worked out. Maybe someone who, I want to say was a slick speaker, but they also was really good in what is it called? Gambling. I want us to be very mindful about our viewpoints about sex, especially body autonomy care, development of autonomy, the changing of the autonomy. I need us to be also very mindful about the anxiousness in our mind and our body, and how can we ground ourselves this year? What does grounding ourselves look like? If also we wanted to go back to college or start a career, go to college, go to trade school, but we was worried about money. I think if we think about loans, give me a second. I think if like financial aid. Why don't we think about financial aid? I feel like if we tell people really our situation and be honest, I feel like they might have to ask you to write something or maybe an interview. I feel like we be honest and be sincere, be thorough, don't overshare but share enough. It's getting that. Also, our relationships, that whole like being an individual and still being together, that is very something that one needs to think about, or both parties need to think about this year. Yeah, this is a really good year to start doing ancestral veneration. 27. Yeah. Maybe ancestors will like incense this year. Cleaning out your house with incense and with smoke will be a really good thing this year. Your ancestors, your people in your lineage, who you come from, they gave you values and sense, and luxuries or resources, and it was through the values that they gave you. And it's through the values that they gave you, and this is a year to unlock that. Where's Chiron? Yes, to unlock that. When you start off, think about your long-term goal, but also think about how you would need to take breaks habitually, what you would need from others. It's really like internal strength, for real. I love this. It is. It's internal strength, for real. Dog, inspiration like crazy. Be very mindful who you share with. It's like they went through all these lessons, all these experiences, and it's like a box, and it's waiting on us to unlock it. But we need to be very mindful about it. So we need to see it. Period. Grandmothers are important. Maybe they might be divorced. But listen to the conversations. Listen to the words. Just listen. Listen, pay attention, be observant. This is a year to take in the conversations that's going on with women. Be more open and trusting yourself, your intuition, the wisdom of women, the safety of women. But also see how their viewpoints have shaped you, have shaped us, our mindsets, and what we're going to use with it long term. Yo, like, let's talk about this. all jokers is upright. This is, you know what to do. This is literally the mess. The information is there. You feel me? The apprentice is here. And the magician is here. You feel me? Like, the apprentice is here. The teacher is here. And the child is here. The student is here. So it was more so just knowing or understanding or being aware of oneself and one ego. We need to be very mindful of how we react in our greed, our need for greed, our greediness. Maybe that's what money, maybe that's what personal luxuries things have. That could be the jewels, that could be the crystals, that could be the luxurious house, that could be the land. Be very mindful with greed and the ego's needs, desires, your own emotional needs and desires, your own health needs and desires. Be very mindful of what you eat and how much you eat and how quickly you eat this year. Be very mindful of who you talk to this year, especially people who have one-sided perspective. Be very mindful of people for real, their values, their mask, their viewpoints and their perspectives. Be very mindful of picking up other people's viewpoints and perspectives and really start weighing things out, weighing situations out, weighing relationships out, weighing feelings out, paying attention to your feelings, paying attention to how previous experiences has shaped you and how you can use them to right now. But also see the growth of yourself. See how much you've grown. See where you're at currently. You feel me? You're now the adult. When you're the adult, that means your parents are growing older. That means you might be ready to have children. That means you might be starting new life experiences. But listen to children. Listen to children. Listen to your own inner child. Listen to you might have children who are, what is it called, going off to college, or more so like teenagers. Be very mindful about their you might be giving them some more freedom. Be very mindful about the type of freedom, how long they're out, what freedom looks like. Be very mindful about protection of your child. Or more so, like, do check-ins with them. Have those conversations about, if you're going to be out, make sure you have conversations when you check in. You feel me? Teach that. Teach the moral compass. Understand your moral compass. But see your own strength. Don't use your own strength to your benefit. Understand yourself. Know what you can and cannot do. Know what you can and cannot do. Know what you can and cannot do. This would be a really good year to do offerings to your ancestors, to start an ancestor altar. A relationship to your ancestors, a relationship to your dead, a relationship to your spirit guides. This would be a really good year to start, if you're thinking about doing or journeying or growing your awareness to spirituality or religion or law. What does that look like? What type? How does that serve and connect to the growing you? Be very mindful about our body needs. Be very mindful about, it's like just, jealousy. Be very mindful about what you're telling people and sharing out with people. Yes, be very mindful about relationships you're sharing out with. But listen to your body. Listen to what people are saying. Listen to people's body language. Listen to people's words. Listen to people's emails. Listen to people's, it's like gossip here. Listen to what people are saying. Listen to what your body is saying. Understand that you are protected. Move carefully. Have a strategic balance of fun, logicalness, creativity, analytical. But yes, you all, have fun, but think critically. Use your hands. Have fun, but think critically. So maybe one of the hobbies we need to do is use our hands. So maybe clay. Maybe that's working out. Maybe that's building something. Maybe that's painting. Maybe that's doing crossword puzzles. Maybe that's doing energy healing. I should have said that. This would be a really good. Be very mindful about your shoulders, your upper back. That's what restoring our emotions is, right in our back, right in our shoulders, right in our neck. So this would be a really good year to incorporate stretches that can alleviate that. Maybe routines that can alleviate that, or maybe that can slow down the intensity. Virgo, endangered animals. People might start talking about endangered animals. Maybe seeing a comeback. Give me a second. They might put them in like a sanctuary. Endangered animals. I like it, and it's more so like for repopulation purposes. Give me a second. But it still needs to be like a balance of, like, you know, the natural habitat and still being in their normal environment. Be very mindful about people spewing things regarding, you know, when you share something about your feelings or whatever, people spewing like negative seeds of doubt or whatever. Be mindful about that. Think, listen, be aware of what people are saying. Whew. Yes, you are. Be very mindful of who we engage with sexually. Their values. Ask the question, you know, am I the only person? What's your long-term goals? Be very mindful about who you're picking and choosing. Do they allow you to continue growing and blossoming? Do they see you? Do they understand your culture, your background, your time? All right, you all, let's get it. Yeah, head sensitivity, let's go. What are some self-care ways? What is some self? Be very mindful about the questions we're asking. Like, be direct. Say what you mean and mean what you say. What's our decision making look like? How we make our decisions? We just be like, all right, any, mo. We need to, what do we want to do? Why? Feels better. Hesitation on self. Why? Why are we hesitating on ourselves? Are we afraid? We don't want to make the wrong choice. There we go. We don't want to make the wrong choice. But what if not making a choice is making a choice? All the cards came out sideways. Journal. Take a walk. Intuition. Create art. The lowest card was 17. The highest card was 52, but the back of the deck is 39. So, 17 says create art. That's your using hands. What does that look like? I also need us to be very mindful about yes, it's a really good time to get pregnant. So be very mindful about being fertile. This is a time of being fertile, so be very mindful about that. But also being fertile, what ideas, what habits, what inspirations do you want to bring to life right now? And really, what steps do you need to take? What does that look like? And what does it look like to constantly go back to the drawing board? That's what's that's what's supposed to happen, consecutively going back to the drawing board. Well, what does it mean to create art? What does art mean to you? Art is different to everybody else. I might see something as art. You might, girl, this is lame. She's a lame. She's a square. Get it out of here. You feel me? But what's art to you? What does that look like to you? And how are you going to experience and to understand art from that perspective this year? What does that look like? To embrace art, to embrace yourself this year. Who are you? How are you going to embrace yourself? The next one is your intuition. That's that inner you. That's all of them being entwined and understand and in balance to be able to be understood, to be able to use to your benefit. That means we need to quiet the outsides to be able to quiet the insides. And when we quiet the insides, it means we need to be very mindful about all the internal versions of us, all ages 0 to however age you are right now. All different viewpoints, all different perspectives. You know me when you used to love the color orange and now you're like, girl, my favorite color is purple. I don't even know who orange is no more. But that person in there still liked orange somewhere. What about that perspective? What about those perspectives? When we use those perspectives, we can use them as regenerative process or properties or faculties to understand that as we're constantly changing, maybe other people are too. Maybe our environments are too. But to be able to calm our internal or external selves down, remember that we need to constantly be aware and to tap into our moments, to be present and to be more present. That might look like taking a walk to clear yourself down, or maybe to refocus, reconnect to yourself. When you're going on these walks, what do you feel? How do you feel? What do you hear? How does it make you feel? What does your body feel like when you walk or when you move? And how are you going to pay attention to all of that this year? And look, the only time that we saw an eye this year, or these cards, was on intuition when it's the third eye, and now journal when it's a colorful eye. So we need to be very mindful about our third eye and that our eyesight, preferably our right eye. And I think on one of these pages I said, well, I got to talk about some other things. I thought I didn't. So I says eyesight, and then I said plus eyesight plus, I don't know what I said right there, jeez. Then I just said strain and eye. But literally, we need to be very mindful about our eyesight and our focus and all the things that we're doing and straining ourselves, our mind. But also maybe to calm ourselves down, to regenerate and to get all the things off our head. We should journal. We should write. And there's so many different ways of writing. What does that mean to write? Maybe that looks like, writing text, sending yourself a text message. Maybe that looks like, getting yourself a book. What does that look like? What does journaling look like for you? And now is a good time to see that. Now is a good time to see the culmination aspects of all you've went through, all that you went through the last year, all that you went through the last 30 days. Be very mindful about that. Write about what you go through every 30 days. The emotional changes, the personal changes, the deeper understandings about you and other people in relationships, the things that you continuously, see about yourself, the things that you like about yourself, the things that you're growing about yourself. Write about these things in a journal. But also, I want you all to start planning short trips. What's one short trip that you can take this year that that looks like nourishing you, that looks like growing the continuous person that you are? Hold on, I can tell you what we need to be doing. What type of trip? Jupiter. Yeah, it needs to be a short trip. It can be in your city. What's this? 16. I'm thinking that says 16. Okay, what's that? Yeah. And make sure they have, places that you want to do things around. But yeah, make sure that it's be very mindful about your money, be very mindful about your spending, be very, think about when you go to these places, what do you want to do? What does it look like to rest? What does it like to regenerate yourself? What do you want to experience when you're on this short trip, okay? Be very mindful about that. But also, resting and rejuvenating yourself, not overworking yourself this year. And incorporating more tea. I really wanted to say chamomile earlier, so that's the tea we need to incorporate this year. It's chamomile. And last but not least, you all, before we get into this oracle affirmation set, I just want us to be very mindful about the first daughters this year and communicating your experiences and feelings. So first daughters might be communicating more about their feelings and their emotions about being the first daughters, about parental growth and understanding within the different siblings. I also want us to be very mindful of merging spiritual systems, and that can also be separating needs for survival. So when spiritual systems are merging, remember we were just talking about the linguistic and the language barriers, but also what about the needs of survival that these things came into? So, a lot of things are forgotten or maybe not remembered because of traumatic situations or just, however deep the survival was and how survival has impacted relationships and connections. So we need to think about how the merging of situations, the merging of values, the merging of cultures, the merging of ethics, the merging of moral compasses, the merging of common sense. What does that look like, before the merge, and what does it look like now? But what does it look like now after many years after it's happened, okay? There's also a parental wound of not being validated as an individual with individual needs as a child. So since this wound is here, how can we be more open and more aware of addressing it when we have kids? How can we be more open to seeing that wound from the standpoint of we were a child who went through that, and now what can we do for our kids because we went through that? But also as seeing our parents as adults and people who survived situations and how they were doing their best with what they had with the situation of growing and raising children. So that goes back to that supporting needs for survival and how survival has impacted relationships. So yeah, I want us to be very mindful about the parental wound and not being validated as an individual, as well as how that impacted us emotionally, collective, and our personal needs. Just give yourself a hug right now. Thank you for, keep going. Thank you for seeing yourself. Thank you for being you. Thank you for existing. Thank you for existing. Thank you for existing. Thank you for choosing you. Thank you for choosing you right now. I love you. I love you all. I love you all. We're going to call this the creation stories of linguistic differences and teachings. All right, threes. It's going to be a whole lot of growth of self this year, growth of values, growth of, be very mindful about the relationships you have. Be very mindful about, ask those questions. Ask those questions in relationships. Be on the same page on every level. Ask those questions in relationships. The back of the deck says, everything in my life works now and forevermore. What does that look like to work, to be a part of a system? It means things are constantly changing and moving and modifying, right? It says, my life works beautifully. Let's incorporate more orange into our life, more reds into our life, our solar plexus, our root chakra, our sacral chakra. Let's understand our vulnerabilities and find our own inner strength and power and confidence and uplift ourselves. What makes us feel confident? What makes us feel sexy? What makes us feel valued and validated and beautiful? What does it look like to you? The affirmation I want us to say this year, we're going to say it out loud. We're going to be aware of it. We're going to grow that. We're going to say it for 30 days. It says, I express my creativity. Let's see it. I express my creativity. I express my creativity. It says, my uniqueness and creative talents and abilities flow through me and expressed in deeply satisfying ways. My creativity is always in demand. Excellent. I release all fears and doubts. Come on, purple. That's that seeing. That's that third eye. That's that internal. When we connect to our third eye, that's seeing ourselves and peoples for really who they are, but also their truths, their vulnerabilities, trusting our intuition. I want us to be very mindful about our third eye and the sensitivity of it. I want us to be very mindful about our higher self. And what does a higher self look like? What does that even mean to have a higher self? Higher consciousness. What does that mean? Look that up. The next time we talk, I want you to tell me. I release all fears and doubts. Be very mindful about butterflies. Be very mindful about hats and going out and wearing beautiful accessories. This would be a good time to give ancestor offerings as peanuts, flowers, maybe pearls and earrings. It says, I now choose to free myself from all destructive fears and doubts. I accept myself and create peace in my mind and heart. I am loved and I am safe. And the last card, it says, it's only a thought and a thought can be changed. Look at that, a beautiful vase. Oh, look, is these candies? We should think about giving sweets to our ancestors and be very mindful of our own internal, our own sweets, our own sweet intake. Maybe is that grapes? What is this for real? I don't know, but it's really pretty. Maybe you need to be very mindful about incorporating more beets, more plums, more greens, more oranges, and more reds into our diets. More cranberries as well. Is that plum juice? Pomegranate juice. We need to think about that and just make sure you're not allergic to any of those things. It says it's only a thought and the thought can be changed. I am not limited by any past thinking. I choose my thoughts with care. I constantly have new insights and new ways of looking at the world. I am willing to change and grow. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. Happy new astrological year.